The carriage rattled over cobblestone streets. Lucy Manette clutched her companion's hand, fear etched on her young face. They had travelled far, from the familiar shores of Dover to the bustling port of Calais. Their destination, Paris, a city shrouded in whispers of unrest and revolution. With them was Mr. Lorry, a trusted friend and their guide through this unfamiliar territory. He carried the weight of a heavy secret.
I am on a mission to find my father, long thought lost.
They arrived in Paris under a sky heavy with the threat of rain. The streets were a labyrinth of shadows and flickering lamplight. The air hummed with a nervous energy. Strangers whispered in doorways, their faces hidden. Lucy clung to Mr. Lorry, her heart pounding. The city felt alive, pulsing with an undercurrent of danger.
Stay close, Lucy. We must make our way to the wine shop.
And Mr. Lorry led them through the maze of narrow streets. Their destination was a wine shop, a place of both commerce and secrets. It was here they hoped to find news of Dr. Manette, Lucy's father. The journey had been long, fraught with uncertainty. But for Lucy, the thought of seeing her father again, of finally knowing his fate, fueled her every step. She clung to that hope, a beacon in the gathering darkness of Paris. Paris was a city of contrasts. Grand boulevards, lined with elegant shops and cafes, stood in stark contrast to the squalor of the slums. The scent of fresh bread and pastries mingled with the stench of poverty and decay. It was a city of immense wealth and grinding poverty, of glittering beauty and hidden ugliness. And beneath the surface, a current of unrest simmered. The revolution was brewing. The people of Paris, burdened by poverty and oppression, were beginning to stir.
The whispers of discontent echo in the streets, growing louder with each passing day.
The rumble of discontent was impossible to ignore. The air crackled with it. Lucy, sheltered from the harsh realities of Parisian life, found the city both exhilarating and terrifying. She was struck by the vibrancy of the markets, the beauty of the architecture, the passion that seemed to emanate from the very stones of the city. But she also sensed the undercurrent of danger, the simmering resentment that threatened to boil over.
Stay vigilant, Lucy. We must keep moving.
Mr. Lorry, ever watchful, guided her through the crowded streets. As they made their way toward the wine shop, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Shadows seemed to follow them, melting away whenever she turned her head. The weight of their mission, the knowledge that her father's fate lay somewhere in this labyrinthine city, pressed down on her. Fear and hope warred within her. She was determined to find her father. The wine shop stood on a narrow street, its sign barely visible in the fading light. The air outside was thick with the smell of spilled wine and the murmur of voices. A crowd had gathered, drawn by something on the cobblestones. Mr. Lorry guided Lucy through the throng, his hand on her arm. They reached the edge of the crowd and Lucy gasped. A large wine cask lay shattered on the ground, its contents spilling out onto the cobblestones like a river of blood. People were on their hands and knees, scooping up the wine with their cupped hands, their faces desperate and hungry. It was a stark reminder of the poverty that gripped the city.
Make way. We mean no harm. We are here to see Monsieur Defarge.
The crowd parted reluctantly, their eyes following them with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. The name Defarge seemed to hang in the air, a whisper that sent shivers down Lucy's spine. She had heard it spoken before in the hushed tones, but she didn't understand its significance. She only knew that it held some power, some connection to her father. The interior of the wine shop was dark and cramped. The air was thick with the smell of wine and damp earth. Behind the counter stood a man, his face in shadow. He was of stocky build, with a stern countenance and eyes that seemed to miss nothing. This was Monsieur Defarge, a man of quiet power and unwavering resolve.
Monsieur Defarge?
The man nodded, his eyes sharp and assessing. He looked at Lucy, then back at Mr. Lorry.
We have come a long way to seek your help.
As Mr. Lorry spoke, a woman emerged from the shadows at the back of the shop. She moved with a quiet grace that belied her strong features and piercing gaze. This was Madame Defarge, a woman of formidable intelligence and unwavering loyalty to the revolutionary cause. She stood beside her husband, her hands folded in her apron, her eyes fixed on Lucy.
Who is this young woman?
Madame Defarge studied Lucy with an intensity that made the young woman squirm. Her gaze was cold, calculating, as if she were assessing Lucy's worth. Lucy felt a chill run down her spine. She couldn't shake the feeling that Madame Defarge was judging her, finding her wanting. It was unsettling.